the Wedding Buzz. It's your host, Sydney, and I'm joined today with my assistant planner, Angela. You guys met her a couple months ago now?
I think it was a few months.
A few months ago. But she is my lifesaver and my right hand on wedding days. So I wanted her to come and join me today. It's been a little bit since I did an episode. Life's been a little crazy, but I'm trying to get back on track. So anyway, we thought it would be fun to just talk about like what we're seeing at weddings these days and really popular things. I made a little list of things and we're just going to dive in, chat about it, and give our opinion from wedding planners' perspective. So the first one is micro weddings and intimate celebrations.
That I would say is one of my favorites.
Me too.
Of all the topics today.
Me too. I definitely have seen it be more popular. A lot of people are like, oh, we're doing like a micro wedding. But I love it because one, it's like less people, less stress.
Right.
And then two, you can do so much more with your budget.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think a lot of people say the biggest thing that they, is a burden for weddings is the money. So, you don't have to feed as many people. More intimate, like you said.
I don't think people realize the direct impact that more guests have on your budget, because it's not just, they think food, but it's not just food. More people is more tables, more chairs, more linens. Every single table that you have, you need a centerpiece for it. So now your like rental budget goes up and your floral budget goes up. Of course, your food budget goes up, but, and then you need a bigger space.
Right.
So I definitely like this micro wedding trend, and like you don't need to have all of your mom's coworkers at the wedding. Like you just don't like,
right.
Which if you have a big budget, I mean, I'm one to talk because I had a huge wedding, but I was blessed with a decent budget and I was able to still do what I wanted with the budget. I mean, I say huge, it was like 130. It wasn't huge. I had,
you also got married at an amazing venue. So
I did. I was very blessed.
That was probably a big portion of it, I'm sure.
It was, but it included the tables, the chairs, the linens, the food.
Yeah.
Like it was like everything was included. I got married at Bella Collina in Clermont, Florida. If anyone's wondering, if you want to get married in Italy, but you can't afford to go to Italy,
micro wedding
at Bella Collina is your go-to. But I lost track of what I was going to say.
Your wedding budget?
Oh, I had people inquire with me who had a budget of $35,000 to $40,000. They wanted a beachfront resort, not just venue, had to be resort. For 200 people. And like normally venue research is part of the package. Like you have to pay me to do all this research, but out of my own curiosity, I was like, I started doing the research. I couldn't help myself. And I inquired with like 20 venues, like in the maybe Broward to Jupiter area, which is where they wanted. Nothing was big enough for 200 people beachfront resort in that price range. Just like not even close. Like the food alone was going to be like 35, 40,000. So anyway, if they wanted that beachfront resort, they cut the guests, they could have had a beautiful beachfront resort for 50 people.
Right. And I feel like a lot of people feel the pressure of like, oh, this person, like I haven't talked to them in probably a few years and they're still like, oh, do we invite them? Like that's probably a big question that people have.
It's tough.
Exactly.
It's hard. I remember when I was engaged that I was at like my cousin's graduation party or something and people were like, oh my God, I'm so excited for the wedding. And I just remember being like, you're not invited. Like it's hard. But
the question is, did they ever get back to you and say like,
why weren't we invited? No.
Okay.
No.
See?
Mm-mm. They didn't say anything. They knew why.
Again, it's like
they knew why they weren't
the couple's
invited.
day, they should, not have to invite people that they might not want there.
Yeah, it is hard, but if you want your pictures to look a certain way and you really want like a beautiful venue and you have a tighter budget, you got to cut the guest. You got to do it. And it's tough, but oh well, it's your day.
Yep.
Like, I guess you got to pick what's worth more, having like everybody there at like a venue that you're not so happy with, or something like really pretty and more intimate.
Yeah.
I'd go with pretty and intimate, but
Me too.
anyway, I don't even talk to like half the people that were at my wedding. And I've only been married 2 years. Like, I get my parents, they've been married 30 something years. Like, yeah, of course they don't talk to everybody that was at their wedding, but like mine was 2 years ago and I barely talked to anybody that was at my wedding. So anyway, next topic is bold colors and unique themes. I feel like I've definitely seen people do brighter colors like this past year.
Yeah. I mean, I've always seen like the something blue. So that is like a little touch of color, but like the big bold colors, I feel like, you know, a lot of people like the more neutral aesthetic nowadays, but you do get your occasional like bright,
I just feel
big,
like
extravagant.
It's picking up. Like, we're a few years, everything was new. A few years ago, everything was neutral. And now I've seen like more color. I won't lie, I'm kind of a neutral girly myself.
I am too.
Like, I still like the classic. But it's funny, I was talking to my sister a couple weeks ago about like what I would change at my wedding or this or that. And I was like, it's so hard because you only get one wedding. Like, I see like a full color, beautiful wedding. I'm like, oh, I like that. But then I see a super like clean and classy wedding. I'm like, oh, I like that. And she was like, well, you are a wedding planner, so now you get to have all the weddings. I'm like, exactly.
That's true. That's true.
But I do think that bold colors are coming back. Not saying that you should or shouldn't do it. Like the micro weddings, I'm for it. The bold colors, it's whatever you want. But
honestly, I would say it kind of depends on the color.
That's true.
Like maybe like green is more like seen nowadays, but I feel like a bright yellow would be a different story.
My high school Pinterest board was 100% bright yellow sunflowers. It didn't happen.
Can't trust the Pinterest boards from then anymore.
No, I remember like when I got engaged, I looked back at it. I was like, ugh.
Yeah. I mean, even mine was the same. I have a completely different style from what it was.
Yeah. So, I mean, talking about styles changing, styles are always going to change, but if you do a bright color, you know, in 5 years, you might be like, why the heck did I do that?
Exactly.
But like
bright colors could be it's all about trends, like what everybody likes. Everybody likes what everybody likes. So
if you go more like neutral, there's a fly. If you go more neutral, it's kind of more timeless.
Yeah.
So it's whatever you prefer.
Yeah.
But something to keep in mind, I guess, as you're deciding.
For sure.
The next thing is tech integrated weddings. I feel like I've seen a lot more RSVPs being through like the Knot or a QR code or something instead of the traditional mailing your RSVP back.
Right. You know, I can see how that helps for sure, but you know, it does, I would say, cause some issues for grandparents maybe, or people that aren't really, you know, that tech savvy.
Yeah. I think like the bride and groom can go in on the back end and RSVP for certain people.
For them, yeah.
So
that helps.
I mean, the majority of people probably will be able to do it.
Yeah. But I like, as far as like technology on wedding days, like I haven't seen too many like crazy things that have like stood out to me. I feel like it's still like in that loop of like it's getting there, but
I think I haven't seen anything crazy, but I feel like I've seen more like in the industry, like through social media, than like at the actual weddings I've been to.
Like I've seen drone shows for like engagements or the wedding day, like drone fireworks. So it's like safe.
I've also seen people do like QR codes for your guests to upload photos. That's kind of cool because then it's like, instead of hiring a content creator, make your guests be a content creator.
It's true. But then I see people doing those like no phone ceremonies, which I like. I get it.
I do too. I mean, it's kind of annoying, and I know your guests are excited to like take pictures, but it's real annoying when your photos, like for the photographer, I've seen them like struggling when everyone has their phone up.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, like when I got married, I was like, I kind of want to be the first person to post the photo. And I remember some people, like there was some photo circling around where I was like, that's not that good of a photo. Like, can the first photo posted of my wedding be like a good one, please? Like, live stream.
Yeah.
That I feel like it probably was more popular a few years ago during the pandemic.
COVID, yeah.
I feel like I'm talking about my wedding a lot today, but I live streamed my wedding, but it was the beginning of 2022. So COVID was still definitely a thing.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that kind of ties into like micro weddings too. You could always,
my coworkers all like watched my wedding, which I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that they like had the link, but they found it on the Knot and they were like, we all watched it. I was like, oh, that's cute. But I live streamed it because like some of my grandparents and stuff they live in Canada, like they couldn't come down.
Right.
So I think that tech at weddings isn't like a necessity, but it is there are some cool options.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of content creator, that is a new tech thing-ish, but it's nice.
Yeah.
The photos don't compare to your photographer, like professional photography, but if you're into like reels and TikTok and all that, it is nice to have content. Sure. Different dining options. People definitely have gotten like with stations and food trucks.
Those
people are definitely getting, I don't know, less traditional about it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still the traditional. I feel like people like a great mix if you want the traditional and something fun is the late night bites.
Yeah.
Like have your nice traditional dinner and then like get Chick-fil-A catered at 10:30. Like everyone.
I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of that.
But, I feel like nowadays people have more like dietary restrictions. So that can be something that like you have to like pay a lot of attention to, like when giving meals. But if you're doing like the traditional plated meal, like you obviously have like
the cards.
Yes.
Yeah. Dietary restrictions are a pain. Let me tell you that. It's just, I mean, I get it. People, if you have an allergy or something, I get it, but it is pain.
Right. And people are picky. So
people are picky.
It could be tricky, but I mean, if you find the right thing for your group, I would say it works out. I mean,
yeah, but it's also a really good way to cut budget. Mm-hmm. If you're open to doing like a food truck or something different, you can save a whole lot of money versus traditional dining. I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, I guess we'll move on because I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say, I think the last time you were here, we were talking about Olivia and Jacob's wedding at the Wanderers Club. And they had
buffet, the Sundays.
Yeah, they had
everything.
Like so many, it was all buffet, but it was like 4 or 5 different buffets.
Yeah, they had sushi. What else did they have?
Sushi.
I know they had the Sunday.
A salad bar, ice cream bar. They had like chefs doing like a stir fry kind of thing where you like pick what you want in the stir fry. They had a potato bar, mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, and all the toppings. And it was open all night long, which was kind of cool because it wasn't like, okay, we have 1 hour of a sit down dinner. Like people did sit and eat, but the food was out like all night.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool because sometimes people want to go get more as they're dancing. They're like, oh, I'm hungry again. This one could be a very hot topic, but mixed gender wedding parties.
Wedding parties. Actually, when when I saw the list of what we were going to talk about today, that this story popped into my mind. My cousin, she recently got married and she had, all bridesmaids, but then she had her maid of honor as her little brother, and he was wearing a little pink suit. And he's like a big football player, so I was like surprised by that, but it was so cute.
I'm here for it. Like, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Because I kind of felt like that too. I remember like I've always been a girl that had like a bunch of guy friends. And so I was like, what? Why can't, like, I'm closer to some of these guy friends than I am to some of the girls that I'm having as bridesmaids. Like, it's just kind of weird. So I definitely am a fan of that one of like, have your closest people up there. Like, if you're really close with your brother.
Exactly.
Then have him as your best man. I don't know. I don't think it matters.
Best maid of honor.
Best maid of honor. I haven't had one like that I've planned. I was in a wedding that had a groomsman, but he stood on the groom's side.
Yeah.
The bride's family was like super traditional, and they were like, "You're not having a guy on that side."
I've actually seen it a few times, a few weddings that I did where the girl had like a guy as one of her bridesmaids.
Yeah, a bridesman.
Yeah, bridesman. And they always wear like this cute little tux that matches the dresses. I think it's really cute.
Yeah, I mean, I say have who you are close to up there. Exactly. I don't know why. Well, traditionally, the bridesmaids were literally like the bridesmaids.
Right.
Obviously, these days, the bridesmaids are just having mimosas. They're not doing anything. So have who you want. Interactive entertainment.
That one's a good one.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I actually just saw a video a few days ago, and it was talking about how important, well, in her case, important it is to have like a photo booth, because people get all ready. They want to take pictures. They want to prove that they got all dressed up and they were there. So it was just like.
We have a photo booth at almost every wedding.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I mean, it's
and
good
not
to have
not because of me, but like because the brides want a photo booth.
Right. I mean, it's just something to get them out of their seats.
And then the other,
if they don't want to dance, that's another thing to do.
The other really rapidly growing popular thing is the live painters.
Yep.
To have like a watercolor artist or something paint a big canvas of.
I mean, even Olivia and Jacob's wedding, they had the cartoon artists. I thought that was like a little twist on it. Yeah.
Which at first, I'll be so honest, I was like, caricature artist, like, are people going to do it? Like, are people going to sit there? But they did.
They did.
People really did. That they were busy like all night.
Yeah.
I was like, huh. And they had a photo booth. They had a lot of cool things at that wedding.
Right.
But I definitely think I've seen like cigar bars, which the only thing, they're cool. And a lot of the guys love it. But then they come back inside smelling like cigars. So as long as you're okay with that.
There has to be an outdoor area too. And, obviously you probably have to ask the venue. Like, is that okay?
Is that okay? Yeah. Which it's cool if like the groom or something if someone's really into it, it is cool. But just keep in mind that.
Or as like favors for them to kind of take home. That's another thing.
That's probably better. I don't know. The cigar bar is cool, but then like it moves half the party outside.
Yeah.
So then your dance floor is a little open, and then they come back inside smelling like cigars, which isn't my favorite thing, but whatever. I mean, my husband likes cigars, but then he stinks. So sorry, Bryce. He'll have a cigar once in a while, and I'm like, you got to shower. Like, I can't.
Wash your hair.
Like, wash everything. I can't. This isn't, I don't think, super new, but personalized signage.
Yeah.
There's a lot of personalized signage, a welcome sign.
There's companies specifically for that I've seen.
Yeah. It is definitely popular. I just think it's been popular for a bit now.
Yeah. I mean, like I've seen like seating charts as big signs. Like those always are very pretty. Like you don't really expect that. I mean.
I'll talk about my wedding again. I had like big acrylic custom made signs with like everyone's name and their table number and all of that, which is also why it's super annoying if you're a wedding guest. Don't change your RSVP like 2 weeks before the wedding.
Last minute, right?
Because it's hard to do things like that. I mean, there were some people that did end up saying like, oh my God, can I please come? And I'm like, sure, but you're not on the seating chart.
Well, it's easier to take out a seat than add one. So
yeah. Yeah. There was a couple of people that got COVID. And so they were on the seating chart, but they just didn't come. And I was like, whatever.
yeah.
But then there was someone who showed up last minute and I was like, you're not on the seating chart. But because the other people had COVID, I was like, there's an empty seat.
Right.
So, non-traditional venues. Like people are using like different gardens or private homes or Airbnb, which I haven't had a ton of that yet, but I don't even know if I've told you the details. I always text you like dates, but we have one, it's at a sculpture garden coming up.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I could see that for sure for like a couple that's more artsy, or maybe if that was their first date, like that's a big thing. I would see a lot of people, like even engagement pictures. I see like people going back to like where they had their first date and they're, cute pictures.
Yeah, it is cute. But this one, it's like at a sculpture garden and they're going to have the guests enter, I guess, through the back of the place and then have like a candlelit walkway through all the sculptures. So everybody like walks through these sculptures.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's not really like my thing, but I'm excited for it. It'll be cool and different. And then the reception is just like, it's a micro wedding and the reception's at like a restaurant. They have like, they rented a whole private space.
Yeah.
Which is also, it's a lot more chill in the sense of like, there's not like the tables and chairs to set up because the restaurant does it, but you don't get the customization. I mean,
true.
It's going to look like a restaurant. It's not going to look like an event. So, but the sculpture garden thing, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
But I have heard of people doing like renting an Airbnb. Obviously you have to ask permission to have an event at the Airbnb. Don't just go rent an Airbnb and then throw a big party. You're going to get kicked out. But it is a cool alternative. And, like there's beautiful Airbnbs on like lakes or on the beach or something. And if you're doing that, it's probably more of a micro wedding.
Yeah.
But it is cool because if you go rent like a hotel space on the beach, it's going to cost you probably way more than if you do like an Airbnb kind of thing.
For sure. Yeah.
And then the last thing on this that I had to talk about was like pre and post wedding events, like a welcome party.
Yeah.
Brunch.
I mean, I definitely like the whole idea of like spending the whole weekend, to celebrate, but obviously it does cut into the budget. So if you, do want a smaller wedding or have a tight budget, then, it's kind of harder to do that. But
yeah, I think it's definitely becoming more popular. I see like a lot of the weddings have, I mean, the rehearsal dinner's always been a thing, but
yeah, even like an after party I've seen.
After party
after the wedding.
Yeah, it is definitely popular. But I think if you're going to try to host it yourself, it's going to cut into the budget and everything is more expensive than you think. So keep that in mind. But a way around it. So what I've seen a lot of people do is like a welcome party. And what I like better is like have like an afternoon get together the next day.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the welcome party, it's like you have the stress of the wedding. It's hard to be really focused on your guests and all that. And enjoying the welcome party, knowing that like the wedding is tomorrow.
Exactly.
So like, I guess my advice is like, keep to yourself before the wedding, focus on you, focus on what you need to get done, relax, have the wedding. And then like the next day, if all of your guests are like out of town and they're all staying at a resort or something, get together, but you don't even have to host a party. Just be like, hey, we're going to go meet at the pool the next day.
Exactly.
So then it's maybe not free, but like if you're staying at the resort and they're staying at the resort, you're not hosting a party or renting a space. Like you're just at the pool or whatever, wherever you, or like, hey, everyone's going to meet at this bar, at this restaurant or something. And then everyone's picking up their own tab because it's more of a casual get together, but it's a hangout.
Still an acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And also like, you don't want to be tired on your wedding day. you do not, like, you already are going to be tired. Even if you rest the whole day before, like, you know, it's a long day. You got a lot to do. It's a lot of stress. So
Yeah.
if you're doing things like the night before and you're staying up late, like, you're not going to want to get up early. Like, you're not going to feel the greatest.
I don't mean to be party pooper, but do not drink the day before your wedding.
Exactly.
Like at your rehearsal dinner and stuff, one max. Seriously, you don't want to be dehydrated. You don't want to be tired. You don't want to not feel good. The wedding day is a long day, especially for the bride. It's like, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a long day. And if you're dehydrated and stuff, like, it's going to show. Just wait till the reception and then party all night long. Like, go for it. But don't be, and especially, honestly, not just the bride, but the groom, because at least the bride has makeup. The groom, you don't have makeup. So if you look tired and hungover, there's your wedding photos for life. So
Exactly.
it's just not as enjoyable. Like, don't be hungover.
Yeah.
Just party at your reception and then be hungover the next day. Also, a lot of people do like the next morning, like a brunch. No one wants to wake up early. Yeah. Everyone wants like
to sleep in.
And food brought to their hotel room or something. Like, no one wants to get up and go to a fancy brunch.
And like, even the couple, like, you want to, like, if you maybe didn't stay by your significant other like the whole night, like, they just got married, they want to, like, you know, be able to celebrate that time for themselves too. Like, it's not completely about the family. Like,
no. That's why I like do something that afternoon.
Exactly.
Like, have the morning to yourself and then do something that afternoon. But don't do a brunch. No one wants to get up early. And the other thing is, like, if you have a Saturday wedding, which often they are, people are having to go back home on Sunday so that they can get back to work Monday. A lot of people. So I don't know. The pre and post parties are like fun, but I do feel like they kind of add more to the budget and more stress.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard because it's like everyone's in town. Like, I want to see everybody, but that's not the point of the weekend. Honestly, it's not a reunion. It kind of is like a family reunion, but that's not the point of it.
Right.
The point is to celebrate your new marriage. So anyway, that's the end of the list I put together of trends and popular things that we're seeing. Anything else come to mind for you?
I don't think so.
No,
not off the top of my head. I mean,
well, if you're listening and you are doing something cool at your wedding, I'd love to hear it. So send me your ideas and maybe I'll encourage my brides to do it or something. So anyway, hopefully this was helpful if someone's listening, or if you're planning a wedding and you're listening, hopefully that was helpful. And thanks for joining me.
Yes. Went through a downpour on the way.
Literally torrential downpour, like a hurricane.
South Florida,
now it's sunny. Now that we're inside, it's sunny. So anyway, don't do an outside wedding in Florida. Please don't.
Right.
From sincerely, your wedding planner, begging you, don't do an outside.
Especially in the summer.
Yeah. January, February, like those, that's okay.
Yeah.
But April through October, no.
Iffy. Yeah.
No. Begging you, don't do it, please. Please. So anyway, I'll see you guys next episode.